Hello and welcome to Beyond the Bio. Today I'm joined by Jo Hutton. When Jo walked into a yoga class for the first time over 15 years ago, she didn't know that her whole world would change forever. After seeing the transformational results that yoga brought to herself, she decided to dedicate her life to sharing the gift of yoga with others. She now runs Happy Yoga Newcastle, an online yoga membership and studio in Newcastle upon Tyne, and Newcastle Yoga School, where she trains people to become yoga teachers themselves. Jo was awarded Senior Yoga Teacher status by the Yoga Alliance Professionals in 2019. And Jo was also my first ever yoga teacher, and it just has the most soothing voice ever, so is perfect for all things yoga. And the reason why I wanted to get Jo on the show today was because I'm connected to Jo, or follow Jo, however we want to phrase it, on Instagram, and noticed recently that she had a huge increase in followers on Instagram. So I asked her about it, and Jo tells me it's a crazy story. So obviously I'm like, come to the studio and tell me about it so we can record a Beyond the Bio show. And here we are. And this is quite the story. So let's get stuck in. So, welcome to Beyond the Bio, Jo Hutton. I'm excited to have you here.
I'm very excited to be here, Sophie.
So, we met like a million years ago, didn't we?
It must be more, about 10 years ago?
Oh, no. It was before I had Jess. So, a million years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
A long time ago, because you were my yoga teacher and you got me into yoga, and I'm not hugely dedicated anymore, but I do like to do it, and you totally got me into it. And obviously, during lockdown as well, you were doing your awesome online stuff, which I know you're still doing, and very memorable because your cats get involved in your yoga, which is definitely a USP, which is awesome. And I wanted to get you on the show today because we were chatting recently about your Instagram, because I noticed that you did a post that was one of these, hey, I'm going to reintroduce myself posts, and you were like a bit overwhelmed by all these followers. And I clicked on and I looked at your followers and I was like, holy cow, like, where have all of they come from? I mean, not that I knew how many followers you had before, but it seemed a lot. So it seemed like there was a big increase there. So tell us what the heck that's all about.
Well, I am a little bit flabbergasted by it all because I've always used Instagram as a bit of a nurture platform. So I've never really seen it as a place to like find new people. I've always just used it to chat with people I already know, like keep in contact with clients. So I started with 2,500 followers at the beginning of this month, in the beginning of February, and now I'm currently sitting on 159,000.
Oh my God. And you haven't bought any of these?
Oh, no, I haven't bought any of them. It's been a journey. It was overwhelming. What happened was I have been running the things that I've been doing in my business for a while now, and I was looking for a creative outlet that was low pressure. And so I thought, ooh, why don't I get myself on that TikTok? So
That there TikTok.
The TikTok. Because no one knows me on TikTok. So I was like, I can start from scratch. I can just have fun because I'm a creative person, but sometimes, you know, in your business, you might not get this, but sometimes in business, you look around and you think, oh, I've created something. I love what I've created. I just need something, a little outlet that's
something new,
something new,
to give you a bit of energy.
Yeah, exactly. And so I thought, well, I'll go on TikTok. And I was just playing on TikTok, and I got a coach to teach me how to do short form content. And I was putting the things on TikTok, absolutely flopped on TikTok, I have to say. No interest on there whatsoever, no bite of the cherry on TikTok. But I was like, well, I've got this content, I'll put it on Instagram.
So same content.
Same content, exactly the same content. I saved it, and then you have to tweak it slightly if you're going to do it across platforms, because otherwise the algorithm doesn't like it. But you can use the same raw video. So same video, and one of them I normally was getting about 50... 100 likes, like on a good one. Yeah. And I saw one just start to get a little bit of interest. I got about 1,000 followers from it, and I was getting lots and lots of comments and lots of likes, and I thought, oh, that's weird. And then one of my clients, we did something in class, and one of my clients said, can you make a video of that so I can do it? And I was like, yeah, and I was going to just send it to them. And I thought, I'll just make it into a video. And I made it into a video, and I'm not exaggerating, it's got 7 million views.
Oh my God. What was it?
It was a neck stretch, a neck trick. So this is a neck stretch that I've done for years, and I actually thought everyone already knew it, but apparently nobody knew it. And it's a way to mobilize your upper traps to give you more range of motion in your neck. And it's obviously not a magic trick, because there's no such thing, but it's...
But people think it is.
But you see the results very quickly. And it was a bit of tongue-in-cheek, and I called it the magic neck stretch because I thought only my followers, 2,000 people who already knew me and knew the context, would see it. And it didn't go viral straight away. There was about 2 weeks, and it actually started to go viral when I was really poorly. I'd got this upper tract respiratory thing, and I was lying in bed, couldn't even go downstairs to watch telly, and my phone was off the charts. Oh, no. And I got 30,000 followers in 24 hours.
Oh my God.
And then it's just not stopped.
That's mental.
It was, do you know what, Sophie? It was really frightening at first because I didn't know. Now I know that it's fine. But actually at the time I was like, the internet's the Wild West. See people go viral and they get hate campaigns against them. So I didn't know how it was going to be received. I thought it's just a neck stretch. It's not it's not as if people could have that much to say about it. But, people say things about people's appearance. And I've got quite thin skin as well. I haven't really, I have definitely held myself back from being visible because of fear of, people saying nasty things, as I'm sure lots of entrepreneurs have this. And so it just rocked my nervous system. I had to do a lot of journaling. I had to do a lot of meditation and centering myself so that I wasn't just reacting and that I could respond to it. But now I'm loving it. Now I just like the attention.
And did you get any mean stuff?
No.
Oh, that's so good, isn't it? That's so good to hear, because I think you're absolutely right in that people do have that fear, what if I put myself out there and, people are mean? And I think the reality is most people aren't mean.
No.
Most people want other people to do well. And like you say, the magic neck stretch is inoffensive and hopefully just super helpful. So it's great to hear someone experience such an uplift in followers without any negativities.
There was a couple, a very, very small couple. But what I was reflecting on earlier was that I wish I could have told myself before this had happened that actually, if more people see you, you're just going to get more of what you've got now, but more of it. So it was probably the same ratio of mean things, but very small, very, 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 very small and very slight things. And now I feel what was I frightened of?
This is the thing. And anticipation, I think, is always worse usually, isn't it, in any case? So have you had lots of messages from people?
Yeah, absolutely loads.
Neck stretch has changed my life.
It's absolutely wild. It's wild. And I put the post that you must have seen, I'd said, where are you from? And it was literally people from all over the world. On that comment, I had 900 comments of people from all over the world. Yeah.
And are they all now engaging with all of your content? Rather, it wasn't just this one-off post, it's all the other stuff.
So I think because what I posted had a direct correlation with what I do, so it wasn't like I'd done a 7-second funny meme. It was a direct trajectory to what I actually do, and it wasn't different to anything else I post. So I don't think all 7 million people who watched that, or all 100 and whatever thousand people who follow me, are going to stay in my world. But the people who it's brought are the right people, and it's brought a lot of them. So it has been really positive.
And I guess because you are consistently putting out similar content, then they are going to hang around because it's you and it's similar stuff, and that's what they came for. So I think that makes sense. Have you sort of changed any of your Instagram habits since attracting all these followers?
I really thought about it a lot, and I decided no. Because I'd been posting quite a while before that kicked off, I felt very much like I was comfortable with the habits that I had with Instagram. And Instagram can be such a time suck. As you'll know, in business, everybody's got an opinion. So you post something that does well, and suddenly everyone's saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. Clients are saying, oh, can you do this? Can you change this? Can you do this? And you think, well, I could, but as you know, 9 times out of 10, the people who are asking aren't going to turn up to what you want anyway. So I really thought about it, and I decided that what I wanted to do was just continue with what I was doing anyway, and it'll be the right people, because I feel like my Instagram, I've tried really hard to be authentic to what I teach in real life, and if I changed it, I just wouldn't be able to sustain it, because I would have to be not being me, and that's hard work.
And I think that would just be totally out of line with what you are and what you represent. Have you changed the consistency? Are you posting more, less, the same?
Well, so in December, I did a meditation advent calendar, so I was posting every day anyway. And then with TikTok, I had said to myself, I'm going to post 5 times a week on TikTok for a year and see what happens. And if after that year nothing happens, I'll just give it up. But I'm not allowed to give up until I've given it the crack of the whip for an entire year, 5 times a week.
So you're still doing TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but I'm just posting the same. It's really easy.
And how many followers have you got on there?
Like 400. So don't believe. Do you know the gurus on TikTok who are like, if you're in 200 views, jail, it's because what you're posting is rubbish. It's not true, because that same video got 200 views on TikTok and 7 million views on Instagram. So it's obviously not my content.
Bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
It's the algorithm, though.
So on Instagram, you're posting on your grid every day?
No, 5 times a week.
5 times a week?
Yeah.
Any particular days or?
Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday, so
Yeah.
every day. And then have you got could that be like a sort of text post with a video or a reel?
I find reels easier. So I find talking much easier than designing and thinking of stuff. So I can make a talking reel because I've got into the habit of it now. I can make it fast and it's easy for me.
So
because
you
I've got
pick up
the
your
skills.
phone and boom,
Yeah.
right, record it, upload it, done.
Yeah. So I've kind of honed in on those skills now so that I can just do it rather than... So I do reels because I really believe in leaning into the things that you find easy, because you probably find them easy because you're good at them. So...
And do you use hashtags?
No.
So you just post with a little bit of text?
But the Instagram algorithm now is moving more towards text-based. It's more like SEO, like a website. So as long as you're putting captions on it, as long as you're saying your keywords, as long as you've got the keywords on the text and the keywords in the caption, there's no reason really. Like, hashtags are just...
They're a bit dated.
Yeah.
They're a bit past. What about stories? Are you a fan of stories?
Yeah, I love stories. I love stories. I
like
find them
stories.
easy. Yeah, and I think stories are a really good place to nurture and just give a little background of who you are as well. I think that feels more intimate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I love the story.
So on stories, you've got 149,000 followers now. What's your kind of levels of engagement on the stories?
Really high, yeah. I'd probably get about 10,000 views on a story, but I use a lot of polls and things so that people... Because once somebody's interacted with you, then they'll be shown your content again. So if you use those, click here, do the poll, like those things. Because if people click with you, if someone engages with you, then the next time you'll be shown first.
That's cool. Yeah. Have you ever experimented with sort of sponsored content on Instagram?
I haven't. Open to offers, though, if anyone wants to send me free stuff. I haven't, no. I don't do much business-to-business work for lots of reasons. One, it's just never been the trajectory of my business. It's never been where my heart is. So I always think, well, if I'm going to spend time and effort with it, I'd rather spend it with clients. But I would do. I'm
have you been approached by any brands to do anything?
Not yet. But it's only been...
It's only been like a month, 2 months. Yeah. Oh, my God. That's just so wild, isn't it? It's completely bonkers. It really is.
And so, I would say my biggest thing is that it could happen at any time. So make sure that everything that you post on Instagram, you have in mind that 7 million people could see it. So it's very easy on Instagram to just make it like personal, but have that professional... Like, I'm very much me on my Instagram, but, you know, there's a way that you present yourself that's professional. So just make sure that if you have a business, you don't put things on your Instagram, because I had to go through my feed and go, oh God, is there anything on my Instagram that's like controversial? And there's not. So always just imagine that you've got 7 million people looking at it anyway, just in case.
Just in case you want to feel massively overwhelmed. Oh my God. So thinking about my Instagram, so I was telling you earlier, like, I really like Instagram, but I still don't really fully understand it. My platform really is LinkedIn, and I'm very comfortable with LinkedIn, and I do well with LinkedIn, but I do enjoy Instagram. So I can't remember when I set my profile. It was a few years ago. I haven't been on it for ages, but it was a few years ago. And my original plan was actually, I think I set it up because I was just getting into property, and I thought, oh, that'll be a good place to document that. And then it kind of slipped into just sort of other business stuff. Then it became a bit of personal stuff. But I would say if I was to describe kind of my persona on Instagram, it would be business stuff in my grid.
Yeah.
And a bit of business and a bit of life in the stories, and probably a bit more personality in the stories. And my stories do get quite a bit of engagement if I do polls. I mean, my polls are always a bit silly, but people seem to play with those and I have a go on those. And I don't get huge amounts of engagement on my posts. I mean, they do all right sometimes, but nothing huge. So if I wanted to focus on Instagram this year, like, what advice would you give to someone like me?
So it's all about engagement. It's all about engagement. It's all about watch time. So those silly little polls that you do, and you're saying that they're silly, they're probably great for your profile, because if you're saying, I'm on the train and I don't know, I've got a Marks and Spencer's.
Always on the train.
I've got a Marks and Spencer's. Like, what would you get from Marks and, like, and people are engaging with it. Like I said, they'll be showing your stuff first. So next time you post something on your grid, the algorithm will go, okay, so because they don't know they're interacting on a Marks and Spencer sandwich. The algorithm can't tell the difference between something serious and something businessy. And so when you then post something salesy, it will be shown to them first. So I love that you keep the fun stuff in the stories, but it's all about watch time. So you could have the snazziest, loveliest video, but if somebody isn't immediately hooked by it, then they're not going to watch it. Instagram only cares about how much time people are spending on the app. That's literally all they care about. Instagram wants to make money off the people on the app, and they do that by keeping your attention. So if you can make something that people are going to spend time watching, that's what's going to... So even though I'm waffling around the houses here, my biggest advice would say, whatever your point is, get to it as quickly as possible.
Because I guess with stories, although I do have a few lurkers on my profile for sure, but overall with stories, it tends to be people that are already following me that will view those. So you're unlikely, make an assumption here because I'm not an Instagram expert, I'm unlikely to get new followers from my stories. So therefore, common sense would say I need to make my grid stuff more appealing to hook people in. And I'm reading a lot of stuff at the moment that says reels are the way to do it. So I'm guessing Instagram's pushing out reels. So whether I need to do some more...
It's not necessary. So reels aren't the only way on Instagram. Reels are one way, and they have been pushing them. But also, what's the format that you're going to get people's attention the most? Because Instagram doesn't really... The reason why Instagram likes reels is because people watch them for longer. So if you have a carousel that people are going to read for longer, then...
Okay, so I could do like a photo dump of a trip to London or something and have like 8 photos or whatever it allows you, and then have some... maybe that's why people do those, right? Is it? So that you kind of flick through them and then you're spending longer, because you'd spend longer flicking through multiple photos than just looking at one and reading.
And that's why Instagram likes a carousel.
I see.
But if you're lean into the format that you can make the snazziest, the nicest, the most appealing, and the most like catch. And the way the algorithm works is it will show... So I have had followers from my stories, because the way the algorithm works is it shows your stuff to the people that it thinks will engage with it first. So that'll be your friends, your family, your mum. And then if it notices that more people are engaging than normal, it'll show it out to another group. And then if people are still engaging, then it'll show it out to more. And that's why reels, sometimes it takes a while for the reels to go viral, because it's like testing it. And so if it shows it to the first... In TikTok, it's 200. I don't know the exact number for Instagram. If it shows it to the first couple and there's no engagement there, it'll just say, oh, this is a flop, and it'll just... So don't worry if you're like, oh, only my friends and family are seeing it. That's not because they've only got the potential for that. It's that how can you make your friends and family engage with it more?
Got it. So I feel like I'm quite confident with videos. So I can quite easily just record something and just go with it. So maybe I need to challenge myself to do a bit more with it. And yeah, I'm going to definitely give that some thought. What are your thoughts about Instagram Lives? Have you done many of those, or is that part of your strategy?
Yeah, I haven't done any Instagram Lives. I did a couple over COVID, but I find personally, and this isn't anything to do with how well they're received or anything, this is just my personal experience of them, I find them painful to do. I find them absolutely painful. And then I know that they're flat because I'm not bringing the energy to them.
Oh, well, that's no good then, is it?
But that's not to say that Instagram Live isn't, because actually I've seen people do really well with Instagram Live, but my personal experience of it is that I just then like, I'm just waiting for people to join.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so bad. It's like the equivalent to you're on mute on Zoom, isn't it?
And you see people join, then you see people leave. I might do them now that I've got. It might be more rewarding to do it now I've got more followers.
Yeah. Well, you could do like. Do you do like the Ask Me Anything questions and stuff?
Oh, I used to do them all the time when I had 2,000 followers, but now I've got that. I'm like, oh no, don't ask me, don't ask me anything.
No, you should totally do it and see what they ask you.
It's a good point.
Have you got any thoughts around how if you want to kind of monetize this following in the sense that you've got this now massive, huge audience that are also hugely engaged right now? Is there anything you're going to create for them, or are you just happy with things as they are?
Oh, I haven't made a decision about that yet, Sophie. So I am getting more business through it because I have an online yoga membership. So I'm getting quite a lot.
So what's that done for members to that then?
Yeah, I've got quite a lot more members through that, which is brilliant. And obviously that's the kind of thing where I can have lots of members and not burn out because it's one-to-many and it's just the times that I teach the yoga are the same and I don't have to put anything more on my plate. And so I'm sure that having this big audience will create more opportunities, and that's how I'm seeing it, as monetizing it, rather, because I think I was getting a little bit stressed because obviously everybody has an opinion, don't they? And like my husband and the Steve down the street were all like, oh, you need to get yourself on a YouTube and you need to do this and you need to do that. And I was getting really overwhelmed, and I just had to tell everyone to just shut up. And yeah, but it will create more opportunity, it will, and I'm really excited about that.
I think things will just fall into place, and I'm a big sort of believer in things will just happen, and you need to just have your eyes open and spot the opportunities and say yes to the ones that you like the look of, because that's just how I live my life. So I think that'll happen because, your profile is clearly a lot higher now from all those followers. So I think things will just happen naturally, and you'll just need to decide what feels good for you, what feels authentic, and, ride the wave.
Yeah, it's so funny because I've got a business coach and I love her, and she said to me, we were in a one-to-one meeting with her, and she said you just need to push the button. And I was like, what does that look like? And she was like, you hold yourself back, just push the button. And within that week I got the gig at Atomicon, and then I got all of and I was like, I've just pushed the button, and I don't know what energetic shift happened, but something just happened where I was like, okay, I'm okay with being visible now.
I think that's it. I think it's a case of just, that you're kind of open to things, and then things happen. And I think it's because you're then looking out for them. You've got your eyes open, and you spot them when they come out.
And I believe that if something doesn't feel safe for you, you'll say no to it. You'll not be able to do it. And it was, like I was saying earlier, that it was a shock to the nervous system suddenly being visible in a way that I had never imagined before suddenly, and thankfully that's died down a bit because I don't think I would be able to cope with that all the time. But I used to really roll my eyes when coaches would say stuff about energy and things. I'd really roll my eyes. But you can only be as successful as you feel safe to be. So you have to do I think you do have to do that work, because this is the first year that I've even touched any of that kind of money mindset work or anything, because I was always like, oh, how stupid. But now I'm doing it. I'm like, oh, it does matter.
I totally agree. Jo, it's been awesome to speak to you. Thanks so much for coming on. I normally ask my guests how people can connect with you, but I think this one's going to be really obvious. It's going to be Instagram, and we'll pop your handle in the show notes to make it super easy for people to connect.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you for listening. If you're serious about growing your profile, take our free profile assessment quiz to see where you're at right now and get hints and tips on how to improve your score. You'll find the link to the quiz in the show notes. If you've enjoyed the episode, it would be mint if you'd subscribe, like, and leave a review. See you next Monday.